we're getting ready to win this election. Frankly, we did win this election.
My place or Donald Trump's place to declare who's won this election? That's the decision of the American people.
Coming up on NCC News at 4:50, 6 states are still uncalled for either candidate in the 2020 presidential election.
Cycle means more for some Syracuse residents. And all is calm here at Huntington Hall after serving as a polling place during yesterday's election. Voters who cast their ballots right here and throughout Onondaga County were part of a historic milestone. Find out what that milestone is coming up on NCC News.
Very much want to get back to work. They very much want the students to come into the buildings. They miss them. They know that that in-person connection is critical.
Coming up on NCC News at 4:45, Syracuse City schools are still learning online, but the deadline for in-person classes is right around the corner. Are teachers ready to return to the classroom?
Supreme Court Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg passed away last Friday. Find out how she is being honored this week.
Coronavirus cases are rising in the United States. The death rate continues to increase as states struggle to contain the virus. NCC News starts right now.
A new development in the Breonna Taylor investigation. We'll tell you the latest.
My client wants to make sure the truth gets out.
Schools are reopening, which means there has been a spike in COVID cases among children.
After last
Call him, what do you want to call him? Give me a name. Give me a
White
name.
supremacists and
Like,
Coming up on NCC News at 4:45, students across the country are packing up their bags and heading home. Syracuse University is still having in-person classes, but there has been a recent spike in COVID-19 cases.
Whose life is going to be saved when you're doing an awareness event like this?
A local organization is raising money for ovarian cancer research. NCC News reporter Manny Martinez tells you how you can get involved and give back.
And the United States joins countries around the world after it announced plans for free coronavirus vaccines. NCC News starts right now.
Good afternoon and welcome to NCC News at 4:50. I'm Manny Martinez.
And I'm Frank Salerno. Before we get to our top story, AP has officially called Wisconsin in favor of Joe Biden. Biden will earn all 10 of the state's electoral college votes. Biden leads the electoral college votes, and he has increased that lead 248 to 213 for President Trump, according to the Associated Press. Now let's get to our top story.
Well, this election cycle was different for others than it was. This election cycle was different than others for some people who live in Syracuse. NCC News' Thomas Schultz found out why some people felt more of an urge to be involved this year.
Guys, some Syracuse voters say they just care more this election cycle. And for one local resident, she says her young daughter is the reason she's trying to stay more informed.
For some, 2020 elections took on a more significant meaning this year. In this East Syracuse polling site, most of the workers are volunteering for the first time. One of those new workers is Jamie Reynolds Diaz. For her, being a poll worker was her way to become more informed politically.
I don't think I've really cared about the election as much as I have the last year or so. I haven't really gotten myself informed as much up until this year.
And since the last national election in 2018, there's been one big difference in Reynolds Diaz's life.
Especially now that I have a daughter, this is going to affect her life. So it's a big deal for me, it's a big deal for her.
While Reynolds Diaz decided to become a poll worker to become more knowledgeable for her daughter's sake, another resident brought her daughters to commemorate history.
Because it's the 100-year anniversary of women's suffrage and women's right to vote.
Besides taking a picture at the entrance to mark the anniversary, The sisters were curious to learn more about voting.
Last time when we voted for the primary, I think, they were like, "What are you doing in there? What do you do in there?" So I said, next time we go in, you can come too and see what it's like.
The election and future is important to both moms as they become more informed and teach their children about the political system.
There are fewer poll workers this year because of the pandemic.
You know, Manny, actually, there's more poll workers. Generally, there's around 200 every year. This year, they're seeing an uptick. A lot of younger people coming out because those general retirees for poll workers are not available this year. So, poll inspector George Kramer said they see around 270, an increase over the general 200.
New York's 22nd congressional district race between Democratic incumbent Anthony Brandisi and Claudia Tenney still has not been called. With 100% of the district already counted, Tenney has a 9% lead. If Tenney does pull through with a lead, it could be the 6th congressional seat that Republicans have flipped.
A New York City congressional candidate is celebrating today after making history. 32-year-old Richie Torres will become the first openly gay black Congress member. Torres won the race for New York's 15th congressional district to succeed retiring member Jose Serrano. Torres serves right now in New York City Council. He is one of the members.
And it speaks to how far we've come as a society. You know, we are going to have a United States Congress that is every bit as diverse and dynamic as America itself.
Democratic vice presidential candidate Kamala Harris made history this year. Senator Harris is the first woman of color to run on a major party's presidential ticket. Our reporter Peyton Smith joins us live. Peyton, was Senator Harris's nomination the only milestone for women in politics this year?
No, Frank, Senator Harris was not the only milestone for women in politics this year. It was a very historic year. I'm here at Huntington Hall, which served as a polling place during yesterday's election. But many of the voters who cast their ballots here and throughout Onondaga County did not know that this was only the 100th year of women's suffrage in the United States.
Did you know that this year's the 100th anniversary of women's suffrage?
I didn't know that. I did not know that. I feel like I should know that being a woman, but I didn't know that.
While other Onondaga County residents were well aware.
Yes, I heard that. It's pretty exciting.
The 19th Amendment was ratified in 1920, which guarantees and protects women's suffrage. Voter Amy Hogan says voting this year made her feel,
well, incredibly proud. Plus, I have an 18-year-old daughter who voted for the first time on the anniversary of women's suffrage, so it's exciting. I cried a little bit. I got a little teary. It was great.
While this milestone is one to commemorate, Syracuse resident Genevieve Lima says it's more important now than ever for women to vote.
I mean, I definitely think there's a long way to go with things that need to be done. That's why I'm here voting today.
Joan Durant, the director of voter services for the League of Women's Voting, agrees, saying women need more role models in politics.
But I think women many times take a back seat to all of this. We don't have the role models at the upper levels of women being the politicians, being our elected officials. And so we don't see their point of view as much.
Durant says this creates a big gap in how women view their role in politics.
Men would get up and look in the mirror and go, I'm going to run for office. Women would get up and say, well, you know, when the kids get older, when this happens, I'll think about running for office.
While there's still more to be done, Durant says she's still proud of this milestone.
It's a time to celebrate. It's a time to raise us back up again and say, hey, this vote is important. And it's a way to get more women involved.
Durant says one of the areas that are most in need of improvement is getting more women of color to run for public office, including Kamala Harris on this year's ticket. Onondaga County had 10 women on the ballot, including 5 who were women of color. Peyton, reporting from Huntington Hall in Syracuse, Peyton Smith, NCC News.
Peyton, thank you. Cortland County announced the first death in the county from COVID-19 today. In a press release, the county said a man who died on Monday was in his 60s. Since the pandemic began, Cortland has had low COVID-19 positivity numbers. There have been fewer than 900 positive cases since March.
Wisconsin flipped to Biden, but Trump is already disputing the results of that election.
And Christmas may bring more presents for those in Indonesia. Find out what China will be giving Indonesia coming up after the break.
Good afternoon and welcome to NCC News at 4:45. I'm Amber McElrath.
And I'm Thomas Schultz. Let's get right to our top story. Onondaga County has seen a spike in coronavirus cases. 16 new cases were reported yesterday, and of those new positives, 2 people have been hospitalized. According to the county's website, that brings the total to 11 hospitalizations.
Syracuse University has 10 new cases of COVID-19 as of Monday. This is up from just 4 cases reported last week. According to the university, the majority of these cases came from students who traveled outside of Central New York. SU has encouraged students to not leave the area for the remainder of the semester. If they need to, they are encouraged to quarantine, especially if the state they are traveling to is on New York's mandatory quarantine list. Resident advisors at Syracuse University have handed the Office of Student Living a list of demands. RAs are asking for hazard pay due to possible exposure to COVID-19. They suggested a bi-weekly hazard pay of $12 an hour for 2 additional hours per week. The group of resident advisors also requested additional personal protective equipment. The advisors expect a response from the university within a week.
Ovarian cancer is one of the leading causes of cancer death for women in the United States. September is Ovarian Cancer Awareness Month, and one Central New York village is raising thousands for research. NCC News reporter Manny Martinez explains how this year the village is doing things differently because of COVID-19.
The double yellow line dividing Main Street in Manoa is sporting a second color today, teal, to highlight the need for ovarian cancer awareness. This is the 4th year that the village, in partnership with local organization Hope for Heather, has put paint to the road. But the goal has always been the same.
It's a lot of hope that we will be able to raise money for research, for patient support, and for education and awareness. So when we have these events and people come out and support us, it's a really hopeful moment.
Normally, Hope for Heather President Frida Weeks would not struggle to draw a crowd for today's event. This year, though, was a little different. Even still, Manoa Village trustee Eric Christensen explains that the village is always eager to partner with the nonprofit for the month of September, which includes this year, for the first time ever, a virtual fundraising run.
It shows the community that we are out there of making awareness to ovarian cancer. Because if we can, as Frida has always taught me, if we can go out and save one life, we've made our accomplishment.
The CDC says 20,000 cases of ovarian cancer are discovered each year, and 14,000 women die of the disease yearly. Weeks emphasizes that there is not currently a test for ovarian cancer, so symptom awareness is key. She takes pride in hosting events like today's.
You never know whose life is going to be saved when you're doing an awareness event like this.
And like so many other things this year, the 2020 Teal Ribbon Run, normally held here in Manoa, is going virtual because of the pandemic. You can register online for the 5K run or the 3K walk and have a week starting Saturday, September the 26th to complete it. Reporting from Manoa, Manny Martinez, NCC News. Thomas?
Flu season is coming soon, which means it will collide with the COVID-19 pandemic. NCC News reporter Will Scott explains the impact of both viruses being here at the same time.
CDC says that flu cases will normally start to spike in October. Dr. Burkhart recommended to get your flu shot either this month or the next to help avoid the unthinkable, getting both viruses at the same time.
We don't really know what it's going to be like if you might get flu and COVID at the same time. That could be really serious. It could be worse to have flu and COVID. It could be better if you get a flu shot and then get COVID. Maybe you'll be a little protected from COVID. We really don't know that, but it doesn't look like it could hurt you significantly, and it definitely could help you to not be sick with the flu while there's also the risk of COVID.
Dr. Burkhart says that individuals are able to prevent the spread of the flu and COVID-19 by continuing to wear their masks.
New York Governor Andrew Cuomo changed restrictions to see loved ones in nursing homes. Now, people need to be coronavirus-free for just 2 weeks, down from the month-long restriction previously in place. Starting on March 13th, New York stopped visits to nursing homes unless the visit was for medical reasons or for end-of-life services. Visitors now must show a negative test from the past week, and staffers can refuse anyone who doesn't provide a test result.
So Thomas, it was a little chilly this morning, so I was wearing a coat, but then it started getting a little warm. Honestly, this weather is kind of all over the place today.
Yeah, absolutely. I woke up today and I was just freezing. I'm gonna have to put another blanket on for tomorrow night.
Now it's time for our weather update. Here's Amanda Albert with the latest. Amanda?
Good afternoon. I'm here with today's current weather forecast. It is currently perfect temperature, 75 degrees and sunny, and it feels like 75. Not much humidity, with the humidity staying at 36%. The winds are light at 13 miles per hour. There's visibility for 10 miles. Pretty good day with weather, and I'll be back later with your full forecast.
Coming up on NCC News, the United States could be in store for good news this January about the defense against COVID-19.
Good afternoon and welcome to NCC News at 4:45. I'm Amber McElrath.
And I'm Thomas Schultz. Let's get right to our top story.
The date for the Syracuse City School District to start in-person hybrid learning is fast approaching. Today, the Syracuse Teachers Association president warns the district is not quite ready. Onondaga County continues to reopen as Stage 4 is in full swing. But is the county happy with their response? NCC News reporter Will Scott talked with a health official to find out.
Jeff Van Beveren. He's the Director of Emergency Medical Services for Onondaga County. He's been at the front lines of the county's COVID-19 response. Onondaga County has a lower case count than these 5 New York State counties, even though Onondaga has a higher population. And hospitalizations continue to trend downward, even as the county continues to reopen.
Let's say I told you those numbers back in March when this whole thing started. Would you have been pleased with those numbers?
Yeah, I think, you know, in general, I think for the most part, that's a pretty, you know, I don't want to say impressive number, but it's would we have liked it to be less? Of course. You know, could we have done anything different to make it less? I don't think so.
Right now, Van Beveren's focus is getting kids back in school. Most schools in the county are following a hybrid schedule, and the key to making that work is making testing widely available.
Any symptom that aligns with the list of symptoms that the CDC puts out, the school immediately tells that student that they are sent home, and then the parent needs to get them a negative COVID test before they can return to school. We don't see an end game for that. We'll probably be doing this well into next spring.
And when it does come time to distribute a vaccine, the county will be ready.
We absolutely will. The county health department is responsible for planning and testing point of distributions pods. If and when the vaccine comes, you know, nearly 500,000 people in this county will need to be vaccinated. Some will choose to be vaccinated early on. Some will not. Will choose not to be vaccinated early on. But we will be able to react to that and set up sites where we'll be able to do mass inoculations for COVID.
I'm Will Scott, NCC News.
According to Onondaga County's website, there are 12 new cases of COVID-19. The total number of active cases has risen to 164 within the county, and 8 people are currently hospitalized.
At least 22 states are reporting a rise in coronavirus cases as we enter the fall. Last week, only 9 states had reported rising COVID cases. But this week, just 7 states reported lower cases. And now the United States has passed 200,000 deaths from the disease. The daily infection numbers are still around 30 to 40,000 new cases per day. And in Kentucky and Wisconsin, the positive rate is above 16%. And coronavirus is now the 3rd leading reason for death this year in the United States. Right now, total cases are doubling every 4 months.
And across the globe, Israel has hit a record level of daily coronavirus cases. Today, the health ministry reported 6,861 new cases. Israel now has one of the world's highest rates of coronavirus per capita. Health officials say hospitals are approaching capacity. Last week, the government shut down schools, shopping malls, hotels, and restaurants.
Time named Julie Brown to its top 100 influential people of 2020. Brown was the first to report on Jeffrey Epstein's sexual allegations, which he was later convicted for. Besides Brown, celebrities like Megan Thee Stallion and Giannis Antetokounmpo were also named to the top 100 list. Like Megan Thee Stallion, civil rights activist Ibram X. Kendi was listed under the pioneer category. In politics, presidential nominee Joe Biden, President Donald Trump, and Vice President candidate Kamala Harris were listed under the leader section of the list.
Yesterday marked the first day of fall. Let's head to NCC News weather reporter Amanda Albert. Amanda, does it feel like fall outside yet?
Thanks, guys. So yesterday technically started fall, but we can still fit in some last licks of summer as the sun's still out. It's 76 degrees right now, a little bit windy with the winds at 13 miles per hour, so a little chilly, but still some time left to be outside and enjoy the sun before the cold temperatures hit us here in Syracuse. Come back later in the newscast for the full weather forecast. Back to you guys.
Thanks, Amanda. Coming up next on NCC News, people are honoring the life of Ruth Gator Ginsburg outside the building where she spent decades deciding law.
Good afternoon and welcome to NCC News at 4 o'clock. I'm Will Scott.
And I'm Amanda Albert. Let's get right to our top story. Grand jury proceedings will be made public in the Breonna Taylor investigation on Friday. Kentucky Attorney General Daniel Cameron wanted to delay releasing the information to the public, which was originally going to happen today. Cameron filed a court motion saying his office needs more time to redact names and personal information. Taylor, a 26-year-old emergency medical worker, was shot 5 times March 13th in her Louisville apartment by officers with a no-knock warrant. A grand juror filed an unusual motion requesting all recordings, transcripts, and reports of the grand jury be released to the public. Their attorney spoke out yesterday.
My client wants to make sure the truth gets out. My client wants to make sure that anything that happened in there becomes something of public knowledge to the extent it's legally allowed to.
Following last night's debate, 60% of debate watchers said that Biden dominated. Only 28% of people who watched the debate said that Trump did the better job.
Starting today, all private employees in New York begin accumulating sick leave. This labor law change was part of the state budget that Governor Andrew Cuomo signed back in April. NCC News' Brandon Ross joins us live to break down what's changing.
Well, if your place of work had no sick leave before today, that might be changing. This law taking effect today makes it mandatory for every private business throughout New York to have paid sick leave, sick leave, not necessarily paid, for both full-time and part-time employees. That depends on what the size of your business is and how much money it makes. For businesses that have 4 or fewer employees and it makes less than $1 million, that goes 40 hours of unpaid leave. And on the highest end, you have 100 plus employees. Employees get 56 hours of paid leave. This sick leave can be taken for mental health, physical health, or even domestic violence reasons. There are further reasons laid out in the law. And then employers cannot request a doctor's note. And this means that whatever it is, employers cannot press you for more information. Hours can be used starting on January 1st. They start accumulating today. And note, these do not apply to government employees. Will, Amanda, back to you.
According to the American Academy of Pediatrics, children now make up 10% of all cases in the United States. This number is up from 2% in April. Officials say the reopening of schools and resumption of sports is the reason for this increase.
After 6 months of online learning, New York City has reopened to in-person learning. The New York City School District has over 1.1 million students and 75,000 teachers. This is the largest school district in the country. Families have the option of sending their children to in-person classes for up to 3 days a week or keeping them all online for the remainder of the year. Some parents like Melody and Stu don't think the reopening will be successful.
This very large school system to go back to normal as kind of forcing a square peg into a round hole.
Nearly 40% of parents have already opted for their children to finish the remainder of the school year online.
And good news for shoppers, Destiny USA will return to its normal hours this Friday. The mall will be open 10 a.m. to 9 p.m. on Monday through Saturday and 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. on Sunday. Store hours themselves may vary. The Regal Movie Theater and Apex Entertainment continue to be closed until further notice.
I had a better answer for you, but unfortunately the next couple of days are going to be looking pretty similar to what we saw this morning. Cold and rainy, but right now it's gorgeous. If you take a look at our current temperatures, it's currently 64 degrees. There is a little bit of a breeze coming in at about 15 miles per hour, so it is a little bit breezy out here, and not too humid. Humidity coming in at about 54%. Overall, it is a wonderful, nice fall day. But is it going to stay that way? I'll have more in my full weather forecast. Back to you in the studio.
Coming up on NCC News after the break, the two presidential candidates are moving on with their campaigns after last night's debate. Find out where the next stops are coming up next.
Today, Indonesia announced plans to vaccinate some citizens with a vaccine developed in China. The Indonesian minister said this vaccine will be deployed in mid-December. Over 9 million Indonesians are expected to receive this version of the vaccine. The COVID-19 vaccine was developed by Sinovac Biotech in China. A cellist and her student, like many Americans, spent Election Day at the polls. They vowed to be different, though.
Psyche Duncase and one of her cello students played music for voters at a Boulder, Colorado polling place. Their goal was to bring voters some peace and some joy to their voting experience.
The music was soothing and beautiful and melodic. They were just lovely.
And it's been such a contentious election, and not to mention the virus on top of things, Frank, that a little music at the polling experience certainly helps.
Often talked about as the universal language, that's music. Something that I've always fallen back on as being something to calm me down in the toughest of times, and obviously doing the same for lots of Americans out there in a very stressful time. Hopefully now we can all come together.
Absolutely.
Calling all country music fans, the Academy of Country Music Awards is tonight, but it's going to look a little different this year.
COVID-19 tests, temperature checks, and face masks are some of the new changes. Producers emphasize that tonight is a celebration, but it's not a party. The ACM Awards were delayed 5 months because of the pandemic, but the show kicks off tonight at 8 on CBS. Now, Thomas, are you a country music fan?
You know, Amber, I grew up in country music, but I'm just starting to get into it the past couple of years.
Well, lucky for you, the ACM Awards actually is making a playlist of all of the performers that are performing tonight, and I think it's available on Spotify. I just saw it on Twitter earlier, so you can catch up that way.
I have a small country music playlist, and I love it on my Spotify app, but I'm really gonna have to check this one out.
You know what's interesting? Taylor Swift is performing tonight, and she recently released a country album, which has been her first country album in a very long time.
You know, I haven't listened to Taylor Swift since 22, but that's back when she was pop. I'm really gonna have to check out this country one.
Yeah, I think she's one of the performers performing tonight, in addition to Luke Bryan, Kenny Chesney. I think that they're gonna have a great selection of people from all different genres of the country, all different subgenres of the country music genre.
Cagto and Balter face off in their own debates October 19th, 20th, and 25th. Well, Amanda, my Astros are playing. I had to pull out the retro jacket. They have a 3-1 lead in the ninth. It looks like they're about to advance, but it's my understanding you also have a team in the playoffs.
Yep, well, I'm a Yankee fan, so I'm hoping to get that clincher in the game tonight. We'll see how it goes.
That should be a good one between the Indians and the Yanks.